Shalom, shalom, kwam yasha. First and foremost, as always, I just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah HaKodesh, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone of GMS. To you I say shalom, and shalom unto the hopeful elect, kwam yasha and Abad Babal. I want to share this headline from Russia Today. I'll post a link in the description, as always. This was posted yesterday, January 22nd, 2025. So it's fresh. And it says, Freemasons eyeing comeback in Syria. The statement supposedly published by the organization announces their return after a 5-decade ban under the Assad government. And when you go into the scriptures, especially like Psalms, the 64th chapter, and Isaiah, the 14th chapter, you'll realize that the Freemasons are nothing but Luciferians, and they're set up on the left-hand side to withhold certain information, which is really vital information from the general public. They're really like gatekeepers that are on the left-hand side, and they're about bringing forth the NWO and making sure the beast system comes into power, right? So now it says 5-decade ban under the Assad government. So now they're returning to Syria. Now they're going to be able to operate after 50 years of them being banned. So pretty much this is like a jubilee on the left-hand side for these Freemasons being able to come back into Syria to operate. So 50 years, that going into the Jubilee. If you don't understand what the Jubilee is, just look it up in Leviticus, the 25th chapter, and the first verse on down. Just read it. I believe it goes into 7 cycles of sabbatical years, which that just simply means a total of 49 years. And on the 50th year, it just deals with you getting a clean slate. So all debts are wiped. It deals with property rights and property and land. So that means a lot of your slaves that you have or own, they have to be released. It goes into property rights, you owning things, right? If you had any disputes with certain individuals or things of that nature. Well, when you read it, it gets specific. You'll understand it more. So 50 years is very spiritual. That's very spiritual. This is significant. And this is their version of a jubilee, them being able to come back in that country and operate. Right? And this shows you that Satan rules this world. This is his world, pursuant to Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And Freemasons are Luciferians, and they're bringing forth witchcraft, man. They're spreading that around the world. Now, I want to bring this precept out. This is Nahum chapter 3, verse 4. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts. And this well-favored harlot is dealing with America, and you can find that in Revelation the 17th chapter and Revelation the 18th chapter. Talks about the whore that sitteth upon many waters, the whore that rideth the beast. That's talking about America. And why do they commit whoredoms? Because they have fornicated with the kings of the earth. And why are they in a mistress of witchcraft? Because they have taken all the different philosophies of the previous kingdoms that were before them. Talking about the strong kingdoms like Babylon, the Persian and the Medes, the Grecians, the Greek Empire, you had the Roman Empire especially. So they have taken all those, and also Sodom too. So they have taken all those philosophies from those different nations, and they are actually worshiping the same gods of those nations and following the same customs of those nations. So they're really into witchcraft. And what's a part of witchcraft? Freemasonry. And it's a well-known fact that a lot of the presidents and high-ranking officials that come out of America, they were Masons, man. And Masonry is just nothing but Luciferianism. And I'm going to prove that because when you go into the writings of Albert Pike, he pretty much tells you that when you go into his book called Morals and Dogma. He wrote that. And also, hey, Albert Pike, man, he's he was them demons loved him, man. He was really in tune with the left-hand side because he was able to prophesy about on the left, of course, about World War One, World War Two, and World War Three, especially World War Three, on how the Zionist leaders will go up against the Islamist leaders, and we're seeing that today, right? And that's how World War Three is going to pop off. Okay, pretty much the East going up against the West, and the West being you Zionists going up against the East, which are you people who are involved with Islam, right? And isn't that what we're seeing? Syria, that country and its citizens, they practice something called Islam. Am I correct? Now, who took down al-Assad? A lot of people were involved, but the main people were Israel and the United States. And it's a well-known fact that America was behind those Syrian rebels. They were providing them guns and things like that. And they were funding them to take down al-Assad. So yeah, that's the mistress of witchcraft, man. That selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcraft. And that's why they're now able to come back into the country, thanks to the United States and Israel, right? And by the way, who governs Israel and America? You so-called white people, you Edomites, man. Israel is governed by who? You Khazars, man. Amalek, which you're a duke of Esau. You're one of the chief grandsons that come out of Esau, man. Right? So yeah, you guys are Edomites, man, and that reminds me of Revelation, the 20th chapter and the 7th verse. You're set up to deceive the whole world, and how are you deceiving the whole world? Through your witchcraft, man. The scriptures don't lie. Now, I'm going to read verse 5 here. It says, Behold, I'm against thee, saith Yahweh of armies, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. Yeah, and ultimately you're going to be destroyed. Why is that? Because the scripture says, Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. I believe that's Exodus, the 22nd chapter, and the 18th verse. Right, let me pull that up. Exodus 22 and 18. It says, Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Hear that? And that's why the Lord's gonna blow you up, man. Blow you to smithereens. That's why you're going to experience thermonuclear destruction. Because what do you do to a witch? You burn them. That's what they did, man, in the ancient world, especially during the time of the Byzantine Empire, going back to the medieval times especially. They would burn a witch. That's what you do. You burn a witch. You burn her with fire. So it says, Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. And the Lord, he can't suffer to see a witch doing witchcraft, summoning demons, playing with spirits, casting spells. He doesn't want to suffer that. So now let's get the word witch. Kasap, right? And it says to practice witchcraft or sorcery. Use witchcraft, sorcerer, sorceress. Primitive root, properly to whisper a spell, to incant or practice magic. And that's what Masons do. And let's go into the writings of Albert Pike. He talks about that. And I have to get a quote. I got it off this article that I found. It's Occult in America, Albert Pike and Freemasonry. Now, I don't really care for the article. I just wanted to get the quotes that came out of this book, Morals and Dogma. Albert Pike, he wrote this. And he has some of the quotes here. So, I don't have the book, so I had to find quotes. Because I remember reading this And I remember the elder of our camp went into this too. He talked about it briefly. I remember way back, that was like 10 years ago. But it said here, some of Pike's writings on Lucifer don't seem all that different from what would wind up in Aradia just a few decades later. Levi Pike and all of those Italian witches certainly seem to have a better understanding of Lucifer. So he's a witch. Okay, and Albert Pike is a well-known Mason. He's a high-level guy. I think he's a 33rd degree. To have a better understanding of Lucifer, and Lucifer is in the scriptures when you go into Isaiah the 14th chapter, right? Right, son of the morning, the light bearer. So it says, then most of their Christian contemporaries, a quick look at a few quotes from Morals and Dogma at least explains why Pike is looked at by many as a godless, satanic communist on par with Barack Obama. Which they all are, you know, all these presidents, not just Barack Obama, it's all these presidents. Because all of these presidents, man, they're Freemasons. And they're down with the game. They're all Luciferians. Look at your so-called founding fathers. Right, now, what was his name? I think his name's Hamilton. What's the guy's name? Hamilton. I forgot the guy's name, man. It's been a while since I looked at American history, but yeah, you had George Washington, you had Hamilton, you had all these other guys, these high-ranking officials. They're all a bunch of Masons, man. Bunch of warlocks. Man, look at George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr., especially George Bush Jr. He came out of what? Yale, I believe? Yale, and what is Yale known for? Skull and Bones, man. Okay, so that's a fraternity. That's a secret society. And those guys are into witchcraft. Skull and Bones, man. Yeah, a good movie to watch about the Skull and Bones is The Good Shepherd with Matt Damon, man, when he infiltrates the Skull and Bones as a CIA operative. They were doing a lot of freaky shit, man. A lot of demonic stuff, too. Like pissing on each other, doing gay rituals, mud wrestling, peeing on each other. That's all satanic, bro. So that's what they're about. So anyways, it says Lucifer, the light bearer, strange and mysterious name to give the spirit of darkness. Lucifer, the son of the morning, is it he who bears a light? And with its splendors, intolerable blinds feeble, sensual, or selfless souls. Doubt it not, from Morals and Dogma. There you go. So he's talking about Lucifer. Now let's get the scriptures. Let's get Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? And Lucifer represents the globalists, the elites. And we use the Rothschild family. We use these different presidents, these people in power. And also that applies to you Masons. Right? Right? So, yeah. And why are you Lucifer? Because you have the light. Right? And light was given to you by the spiritual demon Satan on the left-hand side. Because why? You're illuminated. You got the light. You're able to go through those illuminated doors, and you're open to certain things. You have access to high level knowledge and high level information, right? Son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which is weaken the nations, and you're going to fall eventually, because the Lord is going to take you down. Yahweh Shai is going to take you down. He's going to bring that final assault of taking you down for good and eradicating all the wickedness on this earth. So, which didst weaken the nations? Yeah, and you did weaken the nations. And a part of doing that are you Freemasons, man. You hold back information. You're set up to destabilize these different nations' economies. You destroy their leaders, the leaders that are trying to do good, trying to do good. And that's why you're able to come back into Syria, because Bashar al-Assad kept you out, and then you took him down, right? And now you're coming back in there. Man, these guys invaded this place just like termites, man. As soon as this guy went down, they just jumped on the opportunity to get in there, man. You guys are like hawks, man. Hey, and the scriptures doesn't lie. It says Satan is a devouring lion. Isn't that what it says? Yeah, he's like a devouring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Yeah. So hey, a lion is on his food, man. Like food. Holy shit. So it says, verse 13, for thou hast said it in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. Damn. Yeah, so he has a God complex, and he believes he's a God. And that's why they say things like this: you are God, you're your own God, you have the light. They don't want you to believe in Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. But yeah, man, for the most part, they have a God complex. And, you know, it says, you exalt my throne above the stars. That's going into the space stations. You know, they're able to nest out in the heavens. They're able to do that. And they're over you Israelites. They're over the whole world. Right? So because they're able to nest in the heavens, you know, set up these space stations, they have a God complex. They believe they're like God. Yeah, man. So that's what I wanted to bring out going into Lucifer. Now let's get the word Lucifer. Right. Hayalal. And it says Lucifer, light bearer, shining one, morning star, Lucifer of the king of Babylon, and Satan figuratively. Halal describing the king of Babylon. That's right. That's right. King of Babylon is you elites. Babylon is America today. Right? You international bankers, you control America. Donald Trump doesn't really run America. It's really the elites. And if you're a president or a prime minister, you don't have real power like how the elites do. You know, if one of the Rothschilds became president, you know how much power they would lose? You know how much power they would lose? President is just a front man. He's just a front man. All right, so it says here, the group declared that the collapse of Bashar al-Assad's government had created an opportunity for its reestablishment. Assad was ousted in December 2024 after his forces lost control to Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, jihadists, and other opposition groups. The new authorities, mainly Islamist factions, have promised government reforms. Although political uncertainty remains, for the past 5 decades, the Freemason lodges had been officially absent from the Syrian arena due to the security and political conditions imposed by the authoritarian regime, the statement said. It accused the previous governments of suppressing any organizations or intellectual or cultural trends that might pose a threat to its secure control over Syria and its people. Yeah, okay, and that's a beautiful thing for them to ban Masonry, but they practice Islam. Islam is just as bad because that's idolatry, that's witchcraft. That's not good. And let me see if I can get a precept going into how it's idolatry, right? Because they're not promoting serving Yahweh Bashim Yoshai the right way. It's all idolatry what they're doing, because Islam is nothing but idolatry. I'm going to get this precept, for edification. I'll start at Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 16. For ye know how we have dealt in the land of Egypt. And we're in Egypt again, Egypt 2.0, but this is talking about ancient Egypt. But, in the spirit, we're in Egypt again. Okay, so we're dwelling in Egypt right now. And right now in Egypt is a shit show. Egypt is a shit show. And right now we're seeing Egyptian go up against Egyptian. These people are turning on each other, man. This place is circling down the drain. So it says, and how we came through the nations which ye passed by. And that's true. They, after they came out of Egypt, you passed through these other nations and you've seen how they lived. Now it goes into the account. It says, verse 17, and ye have seen the abominations and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them. That's right. And that's Islam. They serve stone. Going into the Kaaba stone, right, and which is the black stone. I have it pulled up here. This is the black stone. Black stone is seen through a portal in the Kaaba. Right, so the black stone, it's a rock. Right, and then you have this stone right here, the Kaaba black stone. Right, this is something that they worship too. The black stone. Right, and yeah, the black stone is a rock set into the eastern corner of the Kaaba, the ancient building in the center of the Grand Mosque in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. It is revered by Muslims as an Islamic relic, which according to Muslim tradition dates back to the time of Adam and Eve. Right? And this is a tradition, the traditions of men. You're not to get caught up with the rudiments of this world either. I believe the scriptures goes into that. Maybe I'll pull that up. Okay, so this is Colossians. I'll read Colossians chapter 2. Actually, wait a minute. Let me just open a new tab here. This is Colossians chapter 2. Verse 8, it says, "Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of this world, and not after Yahushua." And these philosophies, these different traditions of men, these different idols that you get involved with, it will spoil you, man. And that will turn you into an antichrist, which you don't want to be an antichrist. That means you're anti-Yahushua. It means you're against him. Scripture says that Yahushua is going to come back and slay his enemies. And anybody that doesn't bend the knee to Yahushua is going to get slain. They're going to get cut up by his sword. Now, let me jump down here. Colossians chapter 2, verse 20. "Wherefore, if ye be dead with Yahushua from the rudiments of the world, why, as though living in the world, are ye subject to the ordinances? Touch not, taste, not handle not, which are all to perish, with the using after commandments and doctrines of men, which things have indeed a show of wisdom in will worship and humility, and neglecting of the body, not in any honor to the satisfying of the flesh." Let me get that in the NLT real quick. It says, "Ye have died with Yahushua, and he has set you free from the spiritual powers of this world. So why do you keep on following the rules of the world, such as don't handle, don't taste, don't touch? Such rules are mere human teachings about things that deteriorate as we use them. These rules may seem wise because they require strong devotion, pious self-denial, and severe bodily discipline, but they provide no help in conquering a person's evil desire." And that's true. You know, because Islam, man, they're into fasting. They don't eat pork. You know, it looks good. It looks like it's similar to what God has in the Bible, right? The one we ignorant call God, which is Yahweh and his son Yahushua. You know, it looks good, but it doesn't help you conquer your evil desires. Really, what conquers your evil desires? It's you believing in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua and you being obedient unto him. Right? Obedience is better than sacrifice. And that's what these human teachings teach you about, especially in Islam, bringing forth some type of sacrifice. When it's not about sacrifice, it's about being obedient to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Anyways, man, I just thought I'd bring these two precepts out. The rudiments of this world. Okay, so it says, "And ye have seen their abominations and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them." There you go. And we're not supposed to partake in these other nations' abominations, going into their idols and their doctrines, man. We're supposed to stay in the scriptures. So, like I said, you know, even though it was a righteous thing banning these Masons, but they're still doing their own wickedness, man. So it says here, the organization described its return as part of Syria's reconstruction, stating, "The sun of freedom shines on our homeland, and are forms once again announcing the beginning of a new era that allows the Syrian people to regain their civil and intellectual freedoms. It also distanced itself from politics, emphasizing, we assure the Syrian people and the Syrian leadership that we are not a political organization and do not seek to interfere in political affairs or participate in political, union, or party work. Instead, it is said its role was to promote the values of tolerance, brotherhood, cultural openness, education, charitable work, and the advancement of society, which is all witchcraft. Okay? You know why? Because the Lord ain't about bringing forth charitable work to this world. The Lord ain't about advancement, advancing this society. He's about destroying this kingdom and taking it down. He's about taking it down, man. So let me get let's move on, because I want to go into the letter that Albert Pike wrote, because the left-hand side is dealing with them spirits, and that's why he's a prophet on the left-hand side, right? Now they do have powers on the left, but we're not supposed to get involved with people who are dealing with multiple spirits, like wizards and warlocks and things of that nature. So it says, spiritism forbidden. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 9, it says, when thou art come into the land which Yahweh Bashem El Shai thy power giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations, which we just read about in Deuteronomy the 29th chapter, because that's what we saw, right? Verse 10, there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. Yeah, because all these things that are listed, they work with demons. And we know that they're witches. Albert Pike is a witch, and he's a Freemason. So if you're a Mason, you're a witch. You're a Luciferian, most likely. So I'll read it again. It says, some of Pike's writings on Lucifer don't seem all that different from what would wind up in Aradia just a few decades later. Levi Pike and all of those Italian witches certainly seem to have a better understanding of Lucifer than most of their Christian contemporaries. Why is that? Because they're dealing with him. So there you go. All right, and then he talks about Lucifer. We read this already. So this guy's a witch. So we're not supposed to deal with witches. Really, you're not supposed to deal with these Masons either. You're not really supposed to be around them. Okay, so anyways, it says, verse 12, for all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord, and because of these abominations, the Lord thy power does drive them out from before thee. Thou shalt be perfect with Yahweh Bashem El Shai thy power. For these nations which thou shalt possess, hearken unto observers of times, and unto diviners. And he's a diviner, and we're about to prove that, right? Going into his letter that he wrote to Mazzini. Okay, so it says here, verse 15, the Lord, Yahweh Bashem El Shai thy power, will raise up unto thee a prophet. That's right, and a prophet goes into Isaiah 8 and 20, to the law and to the testimony, the things that are written in this book. He only prophesies about things, about what's within this book, okay, which is the scriptures. He only gives you Yahweh's message. And really that message comes out of the scriptures. Nothing else. Anything outside of the scriptures, the prophet ain't going to talk about, man. Okay? The prophet says things before it happens. Okay. Alright, so let me see that. To the law and the testimony. So Isaiah 8 and 20, to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. What's the light? Going into the law, statutes, and commandments, man. The things that are written in this book. Proverbs 6 and 23. So, hey, that's what the prophets did, is to the law and to the testimony. The law being the law, statutes, and commandments, and the ordinances. The testimony, what took place in the past and what's about to take place in the future. Really, it goes into prophecy. Right? So, what the prophet, he'll come up onto the podium. You go onto the highways and in the byways. He'll bring out the law and say, hey, this is where you're going off. You're wrong in the sight of the Lord. And then he'll give a testimony of the prophecy of what took place, of what's going to take place in the future, or what took place in the past, of how you were disobedient aforetime, and how because of your disobedience, the same thing is going to happen to you again. You're going to get judged. That's how the prophets operate. If they're not bringing forth the law and the testimony, they're not a prophet. They're not a prophet. And they're really talking shit. Okay, so we just proved that. Let's get Proverbs 6 and 23 then, since I said that. So it says, Proverbs 6 and 23, for the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. So yeah, the light is the law. Okay, and also, the light too represents this truth, because this truth illuminates you as well. I'm going to add that as well. All right. Anyways, let's go back now. So this guy, Albert Pike, is a diviner. We read it here because that's what the nations, that's who they hearken to. Observer of times and onto diviners. And you gotta have Satan on you. So it says here, the First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the Tsars in Russia and of making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergences caused by the agenter agents of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions. And you saw that took place, right? They got rid of the Tsars, and then communists came about through the Bolshevik revolution. I believe that's what Vladimir Levy, that's who it started with. And then you had Joseph Stalin, you had Trotsky, and all these guys come afterwards, right? Then you had the Soviet Union. Yeah, so it's true. That happened. And this was written, in 1871. So that was 150 years ago. Now it says the Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel and Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for the final social cataclysm. That took place. Let me just see if I'm still recording here. Okay, we're still good. So let's see how much time we got. Okay, cool. All right, so Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agenter of the Illuminati. And that's going into the Secret Council, Psalm 64. You can get that. It says between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. And that's what we're seeing. Isn't Syria part of the Islamic world? Hezbollah, right, and all of that. Hezbollah going into the conflict with Yemen, and Yemen going up against Israel. Yeah, man. So this is what's taking place, right? And that goes into Revelation, the 13th chapter. Let me bring that up. This is Revelation, chapter 13, verse 14. I'll start here at point with me in verse 15. And it says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Yes, and the people that don't want to worship the image of the beast, a majority of them come out of the Islamic states. That's why there's war over there in the Middle East, because they're trying to fight. They're trying to fight the beast system. And that's why they banned the Freemasons from operating in their country. They had a 50-year ban. Now, let me read it again. It says, for the past 5 decades, the Freemason lodges have been officially absent from the Syrian arena due to the security and political conditions imposed by the authoritarian regime. The statement said it accused the previous government of suppressing any organizations or intellectual or cultural trends that might pose a threat to its secure control over Syria and its people. That's right. Right. And what are the Masons doing? They're trying to bring forth the beast system. And they're trying to break down Syria. And so far it works. They took down Syria. Now they're in there. Right? So that's why I read this. So anybody that comes up against the image of the beast, they're going to get killed. They're going to be taken down. So Al-Assad, you're out of there. Gaddafi, you're out. You got judged. You got killed. And all you other leaders like Saddam, you got killed too. Okay, you got judged. And that's prophecy. That's prophecy. So let's go back. Where did we leave off at? Okay, so it says, the war must be conducted in such a way that Islam and political Zionism mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilist and the atheist, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer. Brought finally out in the public view, this manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. And that reminds me of Job chapter 20, verse 22 on down, because that's what it's going into when he's about to fill his belly. That's what it's going into. But Yahushua is going to come back and take him down, man. Take this devil down, I mean. And he's when he's about to fill his belly, when he has his new world order and set, when it's about to go in motion, when everything is about to be accomplished, then that's when the Lord is going to intervene and take this guy down. But he ain't telling you about that. So this guy was on the left, and scripture's on point when it says, when it says, for those nations which thou shalt possesses, hearken unto observers of times and unto diviners. And this guy is a diviner. Okay, and he also observes times. So yeah, man, I just wanted to bring that out. Hope this was edifying. There's other precepts I got. Actually, let me bring out these 2 precepts. This precept and a scripture here before I close up. This is Proverbs chapter 6, verse 12. Naughty person, a wicked man, walketh with a forward mouth. He winketh with his eyes, he speaketh with his feet, he teacheth with his fingers. Forwardness is in his heart, he deviseth mischief continually, he soweth discord. Therefore shall his calamity come suddenly, suddenly shall he be broken without remedy. And that's how these Luciferians move. They winketh with their eyes, They use hand gestures. They speak with their hands. They teach with their fingers. And just go on Google and type Masonic gestures. That's how other Masons communicate with each other. They use their hands, their eyes, and their feet to speak. And also there's a lot of symbolism that's involved with Masonry. Going into the compass, going into the sun, the moon, and the pillars. Right? That's all symbolism. And it's in plain sight. It's all around us. So it's hidden in plain sight. And that's how they communicate with each other. So they're wicked, man. That's how wicked men move. They move in secret. All right, so let's get Psalm 64. Start at verse 2. It says, "Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of workers of iniquity." And yeah, that's right. And that applies today, and it applies back then. Because there was a secret council that was plotting against David as well. A lot of people didn't like that David was in power. And David wasn't happy, man. David cried so much that he wet his pillow. He didn't like that. All right, buddy? Yeah, okay. He didn't like that. But yeah, there's a secret council. And they're working iniquity. You being in the condition without having the law. Trying to get you to not follow the law. Who wet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. And they do all these things to destabilize your kingdom, to get you off the throne. And isn't that what these Luciferians do? They destabilize countries and their economies. They pollute the minds of the people. Yeah, they all do that. That they may shoot in secret at the perfect, suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. Yeah, and the perfect represents you Israelites, pursuing to Isaiah chapter 1 and 16 on down. You are the perfect. Why? Because you have a perfect intent when it comes to serving Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. The true believers of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And they don't want you to know the truth. They don't want you to know who your power is, who to call upon. Because once you know those things, it's over for them. They can't rule. Verse 5, they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? That's right, laying snares privily. Yeah, they do things in secret. They're more powerful when they're in the shadows. And, you know, they work iniquity on their bed. You know, they come up with ways to destroy you. And it's very subtle. You know, like what's a snare? LGBT. That whole alphabet thing, that whole alphabet agenda. Feminism, that's a snare. Man, that's to destabilize the Israelite household by putting the woman over the man. That effeminizes men. That whole alphabet lifestyle, that destroys people, man. That destroys the nuclear family. That destroys your connection with Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And it says, who shall see them? It's so subtle because they do it bit by bit. They do everything in increments. You know, they put it in the television. Once you get a liking to it, you know, you get familiar with that lifestyle because, you know, you see it all the time, so you think it's not a big deal. Then they put it in law. Then they legalize it. Then they allow these alphabet people to get married. They give them rights. And then at the same time, they take away your rights. It's so subtle. So verse 6, it says, they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Yeah, they're wise to do evil, man. Wise to do evil. But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow, and that arrow ultimately is talking about thermonuclear destruction. Suddenly shall they be wounded. And that's how this system is going to go down. That's how the secret council is going to go down. By them being taken out by Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and the missiles. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Yeah, and their own people are coming out and exposing them. Going into alternative news, going into these whistleblowers, and going into these ex-witches and warlocks that were once in the occult, and now they're coming out and revealing certain things. Right? Verse 9, and all men shall fear and shall declare the work of the Most High, for they shall wisely consider of his doings. The righteous shall be glad in Yahweh and shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory. And that's the elect. And they're going to be saved, and they're going to get the victory. The saints of the Most High will take the kingdom. Daniel 7:18. So with that, just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakachachodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone of GMS. To you I say Shalom, Shalom unto the hopeful elect. Bod Babal.